talk about ChatGPT and how not to use it for language learning. This is a comment I got on a video I did on how to use ChatGPT for language learning, how to use it effectively. And this is the comment I got. It's a long comment, by the way. Here's mine. My default prompt in custom instruction to learn English. I don't know what the native language of this person is. It's well written in English, though. Language of response. Always respond in everyday conversational American English. B2 level, regardless of the language I use. Do not attempt to match or respond in the language I'm using. Only switch to Spanish if I explicitly request it by saying "contéstame en español." You always prefer using conversational everyday English, including contractions. That's not a bad idea. But adapted to a B2 level and grammatically correct. It keeps going on and on. Always include summary in English at the end of your responses, regardless of the language used. Only respond in Spanish if explicitly requested. If I ask you a question in Spanish, respond in English. If I continue asking and commenting in Spanish, keep responding in English, and so on. After the summary, there should be another separating line and a text where you add the spelling correction or translation. It keeps going on and on and on, and then structure of how your responses will be from now on. Response in conversational everyday American English, B2 level, divider, summary of your response in conversational everyday American. Why a summary? And finally, only spelling correction of the question or messages sent you, always in everyday American English, B2 level. Can you guess what the problem with this is? And if you are thinking, or if you said that this is way too long and complicated, you are right. What's the goal here? What exactly are you trying to improve? Because you giving ChatGPT this lengthy list of instructions, respond only in English, this level, blah blah blah, which is good in theory, but the problem is, what are you going to do with it? Just talk to it about random stuff, and what are you going to say, and what benefits does this have instead of just doing retrieval practice? One of the most important things in language learning and when learning any skill is to get as many repetitions as possible. Yeah, if you want to improve fast, you need as much repetition as possible, and you need to make as many mistakes as possible with immediate feedback. Yeah, that's what neuroscience says about learning a skill as fast and efficiently as possible. And if you do retrieval practice instead, you get, okay, let's say you try to say 100 sentences in whatever minutes it takes you to do that, all of them with immediate feedback, and all of them pre-prepared and random, so you have to say whatever you have to say, whatever they tell you to say, instead of you trying to come up with things to have a little chat with ChatGPT with. Because if you are trying to come up with things to say, you end up talking about basically the same things over and over, which is not necessarily bad if you want to become conversational at the things you normally talk about. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but you will end up with a very limited vocabulary. So again, if you already have a lot of vocab in the language, you understand the language well, and you want to improve your speaking and you want to simulate conversations, you can try doing this, but you're going to be wasting a lot of time by doing this if you don't do it the right way. I highly recommend that instead you first learn as much vocabulary as possible and all the grammar with mass sentences. You can use ChatGPT for that. Create them, translate them, create audio files, use retrieval practice. Once you've got thousands of words and sentences that you know you can understand and you can use in conversation, then maybe try this. But again, I would always try to do it with a specific topic or situation as well. You can use this to first learn your language islands and then try to have a conversation using your language islands. Maybe you could do that with this. You could uh, use ChatGPT to simulate a conversation when on holiday, or when meeting people, or when, I don't know, giving a presentation at work, although that's like a sales call maybe, or something like that. You could give it clear instructions and do something like that, prepare for something like that. But for the most part, this is just overcomplicating things. And if you have to start coming up with things to say or things to talk about every time, you're just not going to do as much of it. Nowhere near as much of it as if you were simply just uh, learning the sentences. Yeah. So you need a mass database of, like, you need a long, comprehensive database of mass sentences with all the grammar, all the important vocab, and you need to learn those with retrieval practice and memorization and everything else. Doing this, it's going to be very time consuming, and you're not going to get much done, if you want my personal opinion.